Hey guys, welcome to Beyond Bricks. I am your host, Kevin Stewart. And guys, I am joined in studio today with one of my absolute best friends in the world, my mentor, a man that I look up to, a man that my children absolutely see and love as Uncle B. I got my man, Ben Wilson, here in the studio with us today. Ben, welcome. So excited to have you here and excited to have a fun conversation today.
What a pleasure, man. What a great space and just a great opportunity to spend more time with you. Not that 4 or 5 straight days hasn't been enough, but now we get to do this.
So 4 or 5 straight days. For those who don't know, you're here for our club member guest, our invitational, the Patriot at Wingate, which is always one of my favorite times of year. And not just because of the chance to play golf, the chance for competition, the chance to go out and have fun with our friends, but a chance to get to spend a week with you, to have you in Michigan at the house, the kiddos getting a chance to hang out with you. You know, there's a photo of them right behind me from last year at the fire pit. But the memories that we've made at this event have been absolutely incredible. So thank you for coming out and consistently pouring into my family at a high level. That's been special.
Well, you know, it started off as just being golf, right? You know, I just came up here and it was going to be competitive golf. And for amateur golfers like us,
people that pay to play.
Yes. It's super cool that you can be in a competitive environment to get the heart rate up a little bit, to get the adrenaline flowing, which is something that I love. I still, even though I'm I'm a used to guy, meaning I used to be good at a lot of things. And so now I just get to talk about how I used to be able to get the blood flowing again as someone who competed a lot of my life in sports and things of that nature. It's just like one of my favorite events, but that's how it started. And then it became a family, and then it became coming down, and I was like, ooh, we got to find ways to spend more time with the family, because we would just go and have a great time, and we get a little wild. We'd have a lot of fun. We'd play a lot of golf.
They were younger, so
they were younger.
Different.
And then seeing now where I get to wake up with them, I get to cuddle with them, I get to spend time out in the backyard with them, I get to spend time with all your family, including Sarah as well. And just to be a part of your family has been probably one of the most special things that I get to do when I come up here.
Well, you absolutely are part of the family. I mean, I don't think my kids now believe, especially Lily, she believes that you come here to just spend time with her. When we say we have to go golfing every day, she's like, why do you guys have to go golfing? Can I come with you? Or it's because she gets so excited. I mean, the pick-a-pocket thing that you did this year with them, with the blow pops, a new thing. That was a new thing. Yeah. But Lily, the first thing she said to me this morning, she gets up, she's still like this. She's groggy-eyed. She goes, where is my Uncle B? I want to play pick-a-pocket. Like, that's the first thing she said when she woke up. I mean, I'm not kidding. She literally did a countdown, like from 5 down, counting down the number of sleeps before she got to hug her Uncle B.
That's special. So let me tell you a little bit about pick-a-pocket, right? I think everything in our life, at least that's important in our life, has come from an experience that you had with someone that was important in your life at periods of time. And I've realized that everybody was a season. And I had this lady who came into our life, and she was one of my mom's close friends when we grew up. Her name was Joanne. And Joanne was just a special human being, and her and my mom were really close when my parents got divorced. And so Joanne would come around, and she would take me and my brother out for the day to give my mom a break, because I'm sure, I mean, it was hard being a single mom she was a single mom for like a year, but that was a hard year, right? And I remember in that 2 or 3 year period of time when Joanne would come, she would take me and my brother out, and she'd have my favorite candy every time, which was a whatchamacallit. You know,
those are so good.
Oh my gosh. Like, I'm telling you.
I think that may be one of the most underrated candy bars of all time.
Ever.
100%.
Ever.
Oh, so good.
So she would come and she played pick-a-pocket with me and my brother. Now, my brother never cared about it because he was about 4 years, he is 4 years younger than me, but it was like, I couldn't wait for her to get there. And I remember how I felt. And so being able to spend time with my kid, I didn't do it with my kids, believe it or not. Weirdly enough, I didn't do it with my kids. But I've done it with all my Uncle B boys and girls, right?
I think it's one of those things that's more special when it comes from someone else. Because I think if I played the game now, they would look at me and be like, "You're not Uncle B." they would. My daughter would look at me like, "Dad, I just give me
what's your problem?
Yeah, I'm going in the pantry now." Yeah. Like they wouldn't be. I don't think the plane would land the same. But it's fun because I think now I could do that with some of the kiddos that are now coming into my life, because you've inspired me with the Uncle B idea, right? And I think, and I want you to touch on that here in a second, but from the observation, from my point of view, it's that you have done such a good job of diving in and living life with the people around you and the people that matter most to you, the people that are, intimately a part of your life. You're so deep into their lives that their kids call you Uncle B, and that's turned into a thing.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about how that started and some of the blessings that the Uncle B term has brought into your life.
Well, I probably need to rewind a little bit, right? And so the rewind is when I'm in my 20s, I'm grinding, man. I'm building our companies up and I'm just working all the time. And I'm trying to put all these pieces in place to put a financial foundation in place. Like literally that was my focus. And I'll never forget my wife looking at me and going, look, we can put all this financial, circumstances and structures in place, but if we do it and then I don't want to be around you or the kids don't want to be around you, then we've missed the mark. And I was like, oh crap. Like I gotta untangle this. And I will tell you through that process of untangling it, what I realized is I don't have to spend a lot of time. And that's where people get confused. I just needed to have quality time. And when I was with someone, I needed to be with them. And I had this guy who was all about money. His name was Greg Dugdale. And this guy was building an empire and has built an empire. Mm-hmm. Now, fast forward 25 years, he has no relationship with his kiddos. He has no relationship with the mother of his kiddos. But he taught me one great lesson. And I think there's great lessons in everybody. And here's the lesson that he taught me is when he first started having kids, he would have a 15-minute block in the morning. He'd have a 15-minute block in the afternoon. And he would give them 30 minutes at night. And it was timed, like time blocked with his kids. And I was like, that is the most jacked up thing I've ever heard. But here's where it got really awesome. He says, here's the thing. You might think it's messed up because I'm just that guy, right? Yeah. We're going to have a real conversation. And what he said is when I'm there for 15 minutes, I'm all in with them. Now, for me, I didn't want 15 minutes. I wanted 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. But he says, I'm all in it. I'm not thinking about business. I'm not trying to talk. I'm not answering my phone. I'm with them. And so they're getting an hour a day with me that's purely intimate and quality. So that was a great lesson for me to learn. But what I also learned through having intentional intimacy with someone is the experiences are what I actually was searching for, not money.
Oh, yeah.
The experiences with the people that I loved. And over time, doing that with my kids and doing it with my partners and with the people that I get to work with every day and their children and their families, it turned in to where when I was with them. And the first one that ever called me Uncle B was Blake, my partner, his son. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my gosh. Now, the Uncle B thing, you want to talk about this a little bit, right? So my greatest mentor in my life, you and I have spent a lot of life together, but my greatest mentor is my Uncle Billy.
Uncle Billy.
Right? So I'm not quite as good to get a full name, but at least I got an Uncle B in my life. And I got an Uncle B in my Uncle Billy. And I want to turn that back to other kids because what he did is he changed my life. He talked me through and off the ledge of everything that you can imagine, treating my wife better, divorce, financial focuses, all the wrong decisions that I could have made in my life. He talked me off the ledge of because I was arrogant and egotistical and full of pride. And I had all kinds of things flowing at me all the time that were very much against what the word says. And they were very much driven towards the world. And my Uncle Billy taught me about the word. Mm. And so being able to give that back to the kiddos is special. So that was a very long-winded answer, but I wanted to kind of bring it up.
It was a great-winded answer. I enjoyed it. I mean, there's something about the concept and the idea of, like I said, of the Uncle B principle. But what I'm hearing you say and what I love about it is that it's an intentional way to dive into the lives of the next generation.
Yes.
Right. And you're so good at that. You're so good at meeting and getting to know people. And when you realize that there's someone that you want to roll with, you're all in.
Yeah.
And you're not all in with just them. You're all in with them and their people.
Yeah.
Like I think about how much time you spent with not just my wife and my kiddos, but the amount of time that you spent with my friends and how they reach out to you, they call you, they text you. And every time, I mean, with my team, when they will say, Molly will say, yeah, Ben calls me back. He texts me back. I can't believe he's willing to do that. I'm like, it's because you're a part of my life, and you matter, and you're a very special part of my life, and that's how he rolls. It's a great example.
Why do you think, this is a question that I actually have, why do you think that people isolate themselves to very singular relationships and they don't look beyond, right, in their relationships to the people that matter to them? Why do you think that that's a struggle in the world as a whole?
That's a good question.
Because I see this a lot.
I think it's a selfishness of people. I think it's the fact that people are more surface than they always intend to be. Like, I think the nature of them and the nature of humans is very what I'm getting from the relationship. And trying to take something out of the relationship instead of trying to give and provide into the relationship. And I think that's what it boils down to, in my opinion. And so when you're trying to give into the relationship, you realize that it's not just the person, but it's the people that surround the person. And you know that if you're really going to affect change in my life and you're going to be influential in my life, you need to be and understand the aspects of what makes my life tick. And because you know that my most important thing is people and my most important thing is relationships, you have taken the time to dive in where most people don't. And a lot of people don't. Me and you both do. That's kind of the way we are. But I don't think I do it enough. I think I get so focused on what I want to do next. I don't focus enough on what they need me to do next.
There's a great book, and in this book, it was talking specifically about relationships that people wanted to have in business. And when you create raving fans, right, in business, there's the relationship that you have with the person that you want to find a way to do business with. And then there's the relationships that matter most to them on why they actually show up to do business at all. And in this book called The Raving Fan, it talked and had a story about going out there and creating this relationship and taking a father and his sons on a golf day. And what the guy did is he went out there, and it wasn't Raving Fan. Mr. Schmooze. Mr. Schmooze. Yeah. It wasn't. It was Mr. Oh my gosh.
Great books. Holy cow.
So I've got a chance to spend time with Ken in real life because it's a real life person. But Mr. Schmooze, he went out and he set up this day to play golf with a client, right? And this was a big client because Mr. Schmooze only had 5 clients. Like, he only worked with 5 people. But what he did, and this was a game changer for me as well, through life, is he got everything set up. But then he asked his client to bring his son and a friend of his. And he set up a half-hour lessons for his son and his son's friend. He got balls for his son and his son's friends that were personalized, right? And then he got all kinds of their favorite drinks. He had them set up for success for that day to where they would leave the day blown away, in love with Mr. Schmooze, right? And the dad was blown away, and the dad ended up doing more business with him because of the way he invested into his kids or who was important to him. And that's a great lesson to learn.
It's a great lesson. And I think it's one that not enough, because effectively we're in sales. That's what we are. That's what
I think everybody's
in sales. I think everyone's in sales, right?
And when I was dating, guess what I was doing? I was selling.
You were selling.
I was selling. I needed to sell, brother.
You needed to. We both
but we're all in sales.
We both outkicked our coverage. And actually, our wives are a great testament to how great a salesman we are.
Yeah.
It's a great testament. If you don't think we can sell, go take a look at my wife and you'll be like, oh yeah, he must be good at something. So that's true. Fantastic. It is true. But I don't even know where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought, but see, I started thinking about my beautiful wife.
Just talking about sales.
Talking about sales and the way that, sales comes into our life and how important that is. Great salespeople look beyond the sale and look into the person.
Yeah.
They look into what's going to create an impact and what's going to create a big and deeper depth of relationship.
Yeah.
And that's where both of us, I believe, have found our true success. We found our true success for our companies and for ourselves by focusing on depth of relationship. And you've challenged me. In fact, you were the reason that I believe when we first met and we're first getting to know each other, met on the basketball court, talk about simple ways that you meet people.
Doing things that you love.
Doing things that you love and enjoy. We had mutual connections. Then we started playing golf together. And as we're growing our relationship, I started to realize you gave me permission to just be who I was. And you gave me permission to build a company and build a business around people.
Yeah.
And so many coaches and so many mentors in this industry coach away from that.
Yeah.
They coach on advertising and buying leads and blah, 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 blah. There's so much garbage in this industry. And you were the one that gave me permission to go out and be myself and focus on personal connection and proof, because proof of concept that that's possible.
Yeah.
That's something that can be a beautiful, sustainable business and allows you to have it all.
When I was finishing up when I was in college, so all of my higher education was in healthcare. I'd never sold really anything. Like sales was not something that I even considered. I thought I was going to be in healthcare. I thought I was going to go out and work with professional athletes. And so as I was going through school, you do these clinicals, right? You have to go through clinicals. And so all of my schooling was in physical therapy, right? And so I wanted the coolest job. When I realized I wasn't going to be a professional athlete, I wanted to just work with them. I wanted to find a way to work with them. So this made sense to me. And so I went out there and I just thought, because I walked into the door, I could get any type of internship or work with the clinicals and get to work with all these professional athletes. And what I realized is everybody wants to do that. And so there was no spots available. And so I had to beg and plead and borrow to try to find internships and clinicals to get these hours in, so that way I'd be able to actually get into PT school, right? And so I finally found this place. It's called a nursing home, which when you're 19, 20 years old, the last place you probably want to be is in a nursing home.
It's slightly different than pro athlete.
But it was, everyone would always ask me, where did you learn sales techniques or anything like that? Because I don't really have sales techniques. I just am who I am, right? Yeah. But here's the thing, is the greatest training ground that I ever had was working with geriatrics, working with old people. Because let me just tell you, the last thing that someone who's in their 70s and 80s wants to do when they've had a total knee replacement or a hip, or they've had a stroke or something like that, is to have some young, super energetic man tell them, or young man tell them to move their body and stretch their body and put their body through a bunch of pain. Because that's what it takes.
Yep.
And so I would come in guns a-blazing. Okay, I got a 15-minute session or a 30-minute session with you, and I got a whole workout plan. And at the end of the day, they'd look at me and they say, go fly a kite. I don't want any part of this. And so I realized very quickly that if I didn't get to know them and find out why they wanted to recover, or if they actually wanted to recover at all, they were never going to work with me at all. So I started doing something that, at least at that where I was at, our rehab center, no one had ever done. And I went in and I would spend a lot of times, units and sessions were like in 15-minute units. That's how they build out, right? And I would go and spend 5 to 10 sessions just talking to them. And they would come back in and the therapist, oh, where'd you work out? What's the game plan? I said, I just talked to them. And they're like, that's the most ignorant decision that you could ever make. But here's what happened. I started seeing recovery. They started working. They came in. They trusted me. And I didn't realize what I was doing. I didn't know it. It was just natural for me to just find a relationship. But I created this barrier of trust, or knocked down this barrier of trust. And then they would come in and do anything for me. And it was awesome. And then all of a sudden they went from wanting to die, literally, just let me stay in my bed and die, to now they wanted to fish with their grandson. Paul Ogden was one of the best stories ever. He was dead. He was like living, but dead. And he would just sit in the wheelchair every day around the nurse's station. And I had to go in there and stretch him so that way he didn't get all the issues and tightness and, ultimately become, get atrophy in his body and everything. And so I would just go in. All I was supposed to do is stretch him, because they were just all but writing him off. And I found out that he just wanted to fish with his grandson, and his family stopped coming to see him. So I called his grandson up. Oh, it'll get me emotional just thinking about it. I called his grandson up, and his grandson came in there, and just the little slightest opening of hope caused Paul to not only rehab, to not only go home, but he lived almost 20 years later, longer in his life.
Jeez.
This guy was dead. And that was like, oh, that's what I want to be a part of. And it was all about finding out what he really wanted in life and then showing him that he'd get a little hope through that process. And I realized that that's what sales is. Creating value in someone's life and giving them hope. And if you can do those two things, create value and give them hope, you can literally walk them through whatever door you want to walk them through, but not in a manipulative way, but walk them through the doors that they want to. My dream, literally my dream life is to spend my whole life helping everyone get to their dream life for the rest of my life. But you got to create value, means you got to listen. You got to give them hope, means you got to listen. And I was a terrible listener for a long time, but that nursing home required me. It was perfect. That's exactly where God needed me because God knew what he had prepared for me.
We've been talking a lot in our conversations over the last 6 months, a significant amount. And it's become a huge part of my language right now, which is to be curious.
Yes.
And the reason that you solved that problem, right? You solved the issue because his issue wasn't necessarily physical. It was here.
Oh, for sure.
Because he had something he was missing, but nobody took the time to be curious to ask him why.
Yeah.
And how beautiful is it when life gives us an opportunity to be curious and you ask some questions and life presents you an opportunity to provide hope.
Yeah.
And to provide the help that someone needs. And then you get to have the story and provide life for 20 more years for somebody, all because you thought to be curious and ask the right question. It's a great reminder and something that I believe is a beautiful continued life lesson that I need constant reminder of, to just be curious with the person you're with. Ask more questions, find out more information.
Yeah.
And then you can see, okay, is there a need? Can we find a need? And then what can I do to fix the need?
That's right.
And that's what creates that personal, intimate connection with somebody, which creates a level of trust, which then down the road may lead to some sort of business. But if nothing else, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And you're finding a way to provide hope into that person's life. And that is what I believe we're all put on this earth to do.
For sure.
We're all.
We get caught up. Like, I think a lot of people get so caught up in, becoming rich, right? And they forget about the wealth that this life has to offer. And not everyone is designed. Like, I have a lot of people in my life that have a lot of money, but they have very little wealth, unfortunately. But then I have a lot of people that are extremely wealthy that don't have a lot of money in my life too. Which is better?
Correct.
Think about that. Which is better?
I mean, it's the Nico Moon song that we heard on the way here. I got everything that money can't buy.
Oh my gosh.
It's a great reminder because the things that matter, right? I mean, what's the saying that you're never going to see a banker, the bank doesn't follow the hearse.
Yeah.
Right.
Ever.
Like it doesn't. And when we leave this earth, which we're going to, that's the guarantee of life. The only guarantee of life is you're not going to make it out alive.
Yeah.
And when we do depart from this earth, what's the legacy? What's the memory? And what's the impact that we left behind?
That's it.
And it has nothing to do with financial. Now, financially stable life, as we talk about all the time, is super important, but it's just because it gives you more tools.
Yeah.
It gives you more stuff in your tool belt that allows you to create more experiences and do more things and bless and help and give to more people. That's all money is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Other than that, I mean, it can be used for selfish gain, but I think that's where the corruption of money comes in and what it can make people. But you put money in the hands of the right person and you can change the world with it.
100%.
You really can.
100%.
But you still have to have it here.
Yeah.
You got to have the right heart for it. And you're someone that has been extremely successful. You're super successful. I don't think you realize how successful you are. But I don't believe that people define your success because of your bank account.
I certainly hope not.
No. And I know they don't, because your success that you've built in your life is the Uncle B effect. It's the It's the nuggets that you've dropped all over the world to all the people that you're coming in contact with. Your financial supply is just what allows you to do that at a higher level.
Right.
It allows you to come up here. When I ask you to come up for a member guest for 4 or 5 days and hang out with my family, knowing that you were just out of town a couple weeks ago and you're getting ready to go out of town again, when we contact Sarah Beth and she's like, guys, he's like 10 months out to go do anything, right? That tells me how much you're investing in the people around you, and your resources are just giving you the capacity to do what you're meant to do in this world, which is give it all away. And give it all away isn't necessarily about money. Giving it all away. I remember having that conversation in Scotland. We had a great conversation in Scotland with me, you, and Gavin about giving it all away.
By the way, that was an unbelievable night.
It was an unbelievable night.
I just got cold chills thinking. Literally, I have cold chills right now thinking about how amazing that was. My son, you, and I in St. Andrews, just spending the whole night together. We were there with a lot of other people.
We sat there and everybody was there, but we got in this great conversation about what that meant and what that felt. And we could feel each other's emotions because we all wanted it so bad, but we wanted the drive for the impact of what the future was going to hold. And we got on the discussion of giving it all away.
Yeah.
And what that really means. And I told you straight up, I said, Ben, you got a whole lot more to give away. And you're doing it.
Yeah.
And I was able to spread some encouragement to you in that moment of you're on the right path. Just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Just keep pushing forward because I know what your heart is. And I know the heart that God put in you to impact every single person that you meet.
When you talk about giving it away, the thing that's really been put on my heart over definitely the last 5 years, maybe even a little bit longer than that, is that you can't give away anything that people don't want.
Ain't that the truth?
So if my heart's desire, which it is, because my wife helped mold that into me. My wife showed me a great example of what giving it all away is, because my wife, without her in my life, we're not sitting here. Like I have something that I'm working on right now. It's called the power of the number 2. And a lot of people look as number 1 always being the most powerful position to have or to hold. And it's actually not. It's the secondary position that supports the number 1. Because generally a number 1 is a vision, a voice, right? A face, recognition, but the person that supports that behind you. But back to giving it all away, if you don't have something that's attractive to people, right? Whether it's love or compassion, right? Or your money for that matter, right? There's a lot of people that want to give me money right now, want to invest money with me, and I don't want it because I know it comes with strings and attachments and it's not attractive to me. And they're literally begging to give me millions of dollars. Think about that. And I said, no, I don't want it because that is not attractive to me, because it's going to come with me having to spend time with people that I don't want in my life. It's going to come with having to do things or request or be a part of things that I don't want to be a part of in my life.
And I know this and touch on this because, we talked about this the last time. So you've been on the podcast before. It was in a slightly different arena than this because we were on Zoom.
This is kind of special. By the way, this little studio is pretty special.
It's pretty special.
It's awesome.
They got it really dialed in.
I walked in here and I was like, oh, this is what we're doing.
Yeah, this is what we're doing today.
I like this.
And so we talked about it. We talked about our non-negotiables, the 37, the power of 37, the power number. And we had that discussion. I don't necessarily want to go in the full depth of that.
Yeah.
I do believe you're going to be, we talked about this on the way here, a regular guest.
Okay.
We'll have an opportunity for you to come on anytime you want. And it gives you a really good excuse for my kids to see you every once in a while, because they will lose it if they don't get to see you again soon. Tomorrow morning is going to be interesting because there's going to be tears.
Oh,
when
no question.
you wake up and you're not here.
No question.
But, building that foundation and building those non-negotiables and putting them into your life, the reason that, and I've learned this very much from you, and I'm in the spot that I am because I didn't just hear it, but I adopted it. I fully integrated it into my life as well.
Right.
And it's been super powerful. And it's taken me through what was some really, really hard times and some difficult frustrations in my life and brought me out on the other side and gave me a life that is on the best track it's ever been.
Yeah.
But it started with the foundation of defining who I'm going to be around and the principles in which I'm going to live my life.
That's right.
And I believe that's why when someone comes and offers you a bag of money and says, Ben, help me make more money. Here you go. Come use this for me and help me make more money. If they don't meet those standards and they're not the right person,
it's easy.
It's easy. It's an easy no, because it doesn't meet the standards you have for your life. And that's different.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the world out there and a lot of people out there, especially in business, they're just going to take the bag of money and they'll deal with the consequences later. I think that's why their life spirals here and here and here, because they never set the standard that says, this is what I am. This is what I'm not. This is who I roll with. This is who I don't. And it's a beautiful principle that I believe creates a big impact for those who understand it and those who adopt it. Right? We're in the member guest right now. And what was our cart number?
37.
37.
That was not an accident.
That was not an accident.
Yeah, that was pretty awesome, though, too. What a great surprise.
That was a predetermined decision.
Right.
But, and I, when I'm texting John about...
Everyone's saying probably right now going, 37 have to do with anything? Maybe he'll tell you later.
Yeah, we'll tell you in a second. I'm going to have you tell him in a second. I want you to say what 37 is.
Oh, sure.
That's going to be my next question. But I brought that in. I remember texting John and he's like, I was like, hey, I need a number. And he's expecting me to say 23, 24, I mean, 8. Like he's expecting Kobe or MJ, 100%.
Yeah.
And I texted him, I said 37. He went, huh, okay. And they had to go find the cart. They couldn't even find it. He's like, I got to find that cart. And he did and took care of it. But everyone at the club was like that. And then you got OG 37 on your golf shoes. We're playing yesterday and someone went, what does that mean? So explain to us what that means. Cause I think it's I want to reiterate quickly the foundation of that, because it goes directly into what you just said is building those foundations. So give us a quick snapshot of the 37.
Obviously there's a lot to unpack with that, at least for me, because it's a life number for me. It's something that makes my life and it makes my desired outcome intentional each and every day, from what I do to who I do it with. It's no more complicated than that. And for us, we have to have framework that we work within. I learned a long time ago, if I wanted to truly have freedom in my life, I had to build structure around my life. And that was a very wild concept. So I had to build this framework, this blueprint. And then I realized, holy cow, like I've got to get better at making decisions, because here's the problem is I make decisions, 10, 15,000, 20,000 decisions in a day, right? And without getting into decision fatigue, I'm good for about 8 to 10,000, right? So that means I've got another 50% of decisions that I make that are poor at best, right? And so I wanted to start to predetermine a lot of the decisions in my life, from what I eat to when I work out to who I spend time with. And then you get to focus on the right things, right? We talked about being present, right? There's a friend of mine wrote this book about his dog and the lessons that he learned from his dog. And I was reading it actually to Lily. And the first lesson that he learned from his dog is to be present.
Yeah.
Right. But what we focus on, right, will expand. And so if we're present, but present on the wrong things, it really struggles. So back to the power number of 37, the 3 represents, and it can be any number, that's just my number. The 3 represents the characteristics of what I allow in my life that brings me energy and puts me closer towards my desired outcome. And that's to give it all away, but in a positive way. Right. And then the 7 represents almost like non-negotiables or standards, right? Or principles of which I live by in what I do every day. Every day. And I know that if I stay in the lane of those 3 core characteristics, and then I focus on those 7 non-negotiables or standards every day, from what I do to what I allow other people to do in my presence or around me, if I stay in those 2 lanes, I actually have a chance, not a guarantee. I have a chance of doing some pretty awesome things, and have a chance of allowing some awesome things to come about in my life over my lifetime.
And I can tell you, it's been a blessing to learn that from you. And as I've adapted mine, it was funny. I never forget you saying as I was going through this process and I was really trying to figure it out. You just said, borrow mine for a bit.
Yeah.
Just borrow them.
That's
see which ones land and which ones don't. And, we discussed that in the last time we got on camera, but there's some differences in ours.
Sure.
But they're subtle. There's slight differences, but I had to have my own meaning, but it took time.
Yeah.
Time for me to realize the things that are important. And, one that I've got in mind, two that I've got in mind. One is have fun, right? Have fun, because that's a big part of my life. It's just who I am. That's Stu style.
That's
right?
probably
fun is me.
I'm not a big cusser. Like that's just, I try not to use vulgar language, and I've never been a big cusser, but several years ago when my son was in college, talking about having fun, when my son was in college, he asked me, I said, what's something I can do as a father, as your father, to be a better father for you? And you know what he said? Because I literally, my son and my daughter probably heard me say maybe 20 to 30 cuss words ever in our entire life, right? And they were all the soft ones, right?
Yeah.
If there's such a thing, right? But he looked at me and he was dead serious. He says, don't cuss around mom or my sister. Now, he wasn't being judgmental. He was just like, it destroys them. When they hear you say that, it destroys them. Well, keep in mind, my purpose is to be a positive impact, right? And so I started coming up with my own cuss words, my specifically around things like having fun. And I have a lot of people in my life, for whatever reason, that love to use the F-bomb. Like that's just, I don't know why, but they do. And I don't. Anyway, I don't. But I did come up with my favorite F words.
Your favorite F words.
But my number one favorite F word that I live by is to have fun.
Is have fun.
Literally.
And we get along really well because of that. I mean, we're getting ready to, as soon as we leave here, we're getting ready to go wrap up a member guest.
That's right.
We're 6 shots behind.
We got some work to do.
We got a little bit of work. Started strong.
Kind of petered out in the middle. But
we finished strong.
That's right.
That's one of the things that we do. And the fun that we have when we're on the golf course and the opportunities we get to challenge ourselves mentally, physically, but more mentally, and to grind through. I mean, today's a tough day.
It is.
Right? This is the last day. Both balls count. We got to play golf today. And the times in which we have come out and won this thing, because we have won this thing, we did it because we committed to not overthinking, not overworking, and have fun.
Yes.
And we went out and said, look, today we're going to have a whole lot of fun. We laughed, we joked, we didn't take anything too seriously. We'd miss a shot, we'd laugh about it and move on, find the ball and hit it again.
That's right.
And when we focus on that, we do really well.
Yeah.
We do really well. And then the second thing, which is my other add-on that's been a big part of mine, is to believe.
That's right.
Straight out of Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
And I believe, right? And our confidence, mine and your confidence on the golf course, we always believe we're going to win.
Yeah.
We just do. Like, we are fully committed. Last night, we had the opportunity to be in the shootout, which was super cool. It was one thing that we've never qualified for before. We did.
But
when we teed off, I absolutely believed we were going to win. And we were really close.
We lost by inches.
Literally by inches. by like 2 inches on a putt.
Yeah.
And when we take that thing down, but it's because we believe.
Yeah.
And you want to know what? The crazy part is it spread.
Yeah.
The thing that hurt me the worst when we came in last night was the amount of people that came up that had said that they'd bet on us.
Yeah.
All of our friends, half the club, the cart staff, the staff was betting on us because they saw it.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, dude, these dudes are about to go do something.
Here's something something just popped in my mind around this belief, which that's something that's super important to you. And it is to me too. You got to believe. I believe if I'm into 100%. Something, I believe, but so many people get caught up. You've heard the saying, fake it till you make it. Right. And that's such a derogatory statement because I don't believe in being fake. Right. But I do believe that we should act like what we desire to become. I do believe that we should play a part of what we desire to be. And that's belief, right? And that's playing a part in what we desire to be. And when we go out there, whether it's golf or whether it's being a husband or a father or a business owner, Like if you're not there yet, I had 18 years in a row of our best year ever. And January 1, I'd sit down with my partner. He'd go, okay, so what's the plan? And I says, bro, I don't know, but I know what I want to accomplish. And this is who we're going to be, even though we've never done it. And we would act like what we wanted to become. And guess what happened? We ended up becoming those things. But not even that, we became better along the way at the things that mattered most. And we ended up accomplishing far more than what we ever dreamed when we first started going down this road. My wife and I, like all those things. But belief is so powerful. But you got to not just believe it, you got to act like it.
Well, you got to have a plan of action
for sure
around the belief structure.
That's right.
Right? You got to know, you got to believe that you can do it, but you still have to take
you have to
take the action.
You have to,
because the world doesn't just show up.
Yeah.
Right? You have to show up.
That's right.
It's one of the 7. Right? You got to show up first. And if you're not willing to show up and be ready, you don't take that first step. The rest of them don't really matter.
Doesn't matter.
Right? And we both have an innate ability to show up. And I've started showing up at a higher level now than I ever have before. Because of your leadership, because of the person that you challenged me to be and to become, knowing that I want to make a huge impact as well. And you've had to say to me at a couple times in some tough conversations, you want to know what you need to be? You need to be better.
Yeah.
Because you're not being better right now. You're not being the person. You're not being that individual.
Yeah.
And you say that's what you want to be, but you're not acting like it.
Yeah.
And you're always willing to give me the candor conversation of you need to step up your game.
Yeah.
And it's challenged me in ways that are super important and truthfully have changed my life, have changed my family's life and the lives of a ton of people around me, because the impact that I'm leaving is a big part of because of the impact that you've drafted on my heart. And that's truly
I appreciate that.
A big impact. I don't think I'm doing the show right now if it's not for you. Like that's actually real. I don't believe I'm doing this right now because you challenged me to live out loud and do what I was put here to do.
Yeah.
Even though it was scary at times, even though it was, should I take the time? And you said you 100% should, because it's what you're supposed to do.
100%.
Because it's what you are put here to do.
And I believe that. Like, I believe that you need to sometime, and we need to hear what we should be and what we could be, right? Because a lot of times we live our lives on just doing what we need to be doing rather than what we should be doing or could be doing, right? And I'm a big fan of helping and finding a way to live our legacy, because we don't get to decide our legacies. I would love to decide my legacy. I can create a blueprint and plans, and I can have all this structure in place, but I don't really get to dictate my legacy, because what is my legacy? It's what I ultimately leave in the people behind me, right? But I do believe in living my legacy every day long before I leave it. And what I mean by that is I have to understand how I want everything in people's hearts, in people's minds, how I want them to feel about me. Right. And then I have to find a way to live that life each and every day. And we get one step closer. We're not perfect, right?
No,
like
we
certainly, I mean, the reason that I get a chance to speak to people, the reason I get a chance to run companies is because I just screwed up more than the other people around me. That's the truth.
Yep.
I just made more mistakes along the way, but I corrected those mistakes along the way. Right. And for you, you've made a decision in your life that, hey, a lot of the mistakes that you've made in your life, right, you want to continue to learn from them rather than let them be anchors on your back. And you're putting it out there and you're believing, right, in all the things that you want to leave to this world. And now you're doing it one step at a time. Like you got up super early this morning, right, just to make your kids pancakes.
Yep.
Why? Because they were excited about it. And you wanted to make it special for them. Because here we're going out and we're leaving them and they're going to the pool and we're kind of missing out on some beautiful opportunities. But you got up, even though you were exhausted and tired because we didn't get home until late last night, super early to make them pancakes. Brother, that's leaving a legacy and living your legacy at the same time.
And it's something that you've taught me, and you've taught it to me because I watched you do it. And I'm watching you do it every day. You know, it's the Without Saying a Word song from Nico Moon.
Yeah.
The thing you taught me without saying a word, because your words matter and your words are important and your words have left an impact, but your actions have left a bigger impact on me than that. the person and the man that I watch you be every single day, and the impact that I watch you leave on every single person that you meet when I'm around you is so inspirational to me. And it forces me to want to be a better person.
Brother, I cannot show up to this golf course with tears in my eyes. I cannot do that. They will take my man card away. It's going to be but
well, good news is we have a little bit of a drive and we get to settle our heart rates down before we fire it back up.
Yeah.
Which is what we're going to do. But Ben, I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the man that you are. Thank you for the person that you are. Because my life isn't what it is without you. It's just not. And I believe that I'm living the life that I'm living because of the impact you've made on me. And in this show, and I've ended every episode this way, but you have taught me how to be the person that God meant for me to be the best version of myself, to be the version of myself that the world needs. And that's been my challenge for individuals that have watched this show, every single show, which is to go out there and be the impact in the world that you're meant to be. Go be the person you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because the world desperately needs you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.
That's great, man. Golly.